And back of me is the La Concha Hotel, the oldest hotel in town and the highest structure. Just down the street, the Truman Annex, where during Harry Truman's administration, it was his White House. And that's where the race is today. Let's go down to Stan Lane. Stan, you ready?
Yes, I'm here, Jim. You can see behind me the big boats are moving in. They will be craned in for the next race. That wasn't that long ago. Hurricane George blew through here with winds over 100 miles per hour. These big boats will be blowing by the outer mole at speeds well in excess of 100 miles an hour, and that will be done in 6-foot seas.
Look at the circles, counterclockwise motion. And that'll be 3 starts, starting with, of course, Superboat and the Super Limiteds aboard the Jaws boat. Looks like we're going to have a start.
We sure do. The green flag is up, and there you see Jaws hitting out. Tremendous speed early on. And look out. Look how busy it is back there, Jim. A lot of boats, almost 80 boats in this race, but not in this particular start. We'll have 3 starts in this particular race. These are the big boats right here, and leading the way is Jaws, Drambuie on his hip pocket.
On board with Forrest Barber and John Tomlinson inside the cockpit, heading for checkpoint number 1. And that's been sucked in today, right?
It sure has. SBI President John Carbondale moved in turn 1 and turn 2 because of the tremendous sea conditions out there, but they'll still run the same distance, 124 miles for the big boats. They'll do 15.5 laps.
And that's better for the spectators. They'll see the boats coming around more times as they come out of Key West Harbor, heading out to turn number 1.
They call turn number 1 the wall. We're on board now. Big Thunder Marine Special.
Robert Morgan and Vito Goulet in the radio system. They talk to each other throughout the whole race.
There you get an idea of the huge water conditions, 5 to 6 foot seas, big holes out there, and these 46-foot boats are trying to span those waves. On board now with Jaws.
We're turning. We have to cross this lake. Thanks.
Jeff Christensen, Randy Sissom, communicating. You can just see him go right around the buoy here at checkpoint number 1.
Forrest Barber, Drambuie on ice, tremendously fast boat. Earlier this year set a world kilo speed record, over 150 miles an hour. And you hear the sound of those big block V8s winding out now. This is their second start. Ocean Spray, Cranberry leading the way now, and that's Nimshoff right behind him. This is going to be close competition all day long, Jim.
Yes, and Nimshoff, as we are going, the camera that's hooked up on the horizontal stabilizer, gives us a great view of the attitude of the boat and how it pounds on the surf.
And this boat handles rough water extremely well. The actual hull length of this boat is only 38 feet. The overall length is 40 feet, but it's a heavy boat because he has twin 10-liter diesel motors in this boat.
The father is Mark Nimshoff. He's the owner of the throttle man. His son, Paul, is on the steering wheel.
And the amazing thing about this team, Jim, as you know, these guys race in the smaller class. They're A boat, then jump out of that, buckle themselves into the Super V boat, and go again back to back.
The modifieds, the stocks, they're coming out now in start number 3 of this first round of action in the Key West Fountain World Championships 1998.
And leading the way was Lightning Jack's modified boat. There you see the P boat leader. That is Rick Felson in high risk, and his driver is Brett May this time.
Meanwhile, the first starters are coming around to complete lap number 1, and the overall leader is the Alcone as he comes into the Key West Harbor and makes his turn by the start-finish line.
And second overall is Jaws, and they're leading in Superboat, setting a torrid pace out here. I wonder if these boats can keep this up, Jim, all day long.
Well, remember, it's stamina, and of course, it's longevity. You have to complete a race to win and get any points. And this, of course, a few days from now, it'll be round number 2. What they do today prepares them for position on the final day of this 1998 World Championship.
On the far side is Sea Escape, Air Lanier, and Clay Wilson. And on the inside, of course, is Reggie Fountain Mercury, going for his 101st career victory. Will he do it? We'll find out. What a tremendous spectator crowd on the mole back there, Jim.
They have all the hospitality tents. The Navy Pier is filled. All the piers of the hotels here at the Key West Harbor are jam-packed. There's a big crowd out there on their boats. This is a well-attended event.
That it certainly is. And a brand new boat for Team Sloppy Joes. They sold their 40-foot skater, moved up to a 46-foot skater, so they should be more competitive in this race. But they've been competitive all year long in a smaller boat.
Todd Carroll, the owner and driver. Byron Hill is the throttle man on the Holiday Inn, modified number 22. See these guys talking to each other all the time? Oxygen mask. This is going to be a long endurance race.
Very, very pretty boat, a 37-foot Talon hull. Modified boat, as you said. The modified class is so competitive. Looking out the the stern now, Alcone Motorsports. What a rooster tail. What a plumage of water as this boat nears speeds of 150 miles an hour on the backstretch.
At this point, if you watch the rooster tail, they're running in pretty smooth water. We'll be back with more after this time out. Best, come as you are. As we look at the Riveted coming into the Key West Harbor, earlier, before the race, Stan had a chance to talk about their supercharging system.
Most of the blower motors or supercharged engines on the SBI circuit employ a Roots type of supercharging system. This boat, the Riveted boat, has a totally unique system, right, Ken?
Yes, it does. This is the new Whipple charger system. It is actually a quad screw compressors. There are two screw compressors. The way they work is like two wood screws intertwined with each other. They pull the mixture, they pull the air right in through these two inlets here. The fuel injection, 12 fuel injectors, pumping fuel in, down through the superchargers and into the engine. A big difference with these is they're so much more efficient than a Roots type blower. We can run 22 pounds of boost and not use too much horsepower. These engines make 1,250 horsepower and 1,100 foot-pounds of torque.
As you said, the downside to most supercharging systems is, of course, heat. But these Whipple chargers produce very little heat.
They not only produce very little heat, but also they're set up, they're forced oil injected for the drives, and there's also a pressure water system to cool the blower drives. It's a fantastic system that Art Whipple's put together.
As you can see, Jim, Ken Silverman doing some work on those engines, brand new, so I hope he has all the bugs worked out for today.
David Branch and the Muscle coming into the harbor and running very well.
We haven't seen that boat all year long because they've been campaigning their B boat. Right now, Reggie Fountain doing very well in super boat class. He added some horsepower as well, as did the Riveted boat, and he's passing now the Super V leader, which is Ocean Spray Cranberry, another Fountain boat. And this Fountain boat, of course, has the CEO of Fountain, Reggie Fountain. Jim talked to him earlier.
Down here with Reggie Fountain, he's not only a competitor, but he's also the series sponsor. And in both aspects, Reggie, has 1998 been successful for you?
Absolutely. It's been a tremendous year for us. Working with John Carbonell and SBI, we're able to showcase our boats on ESPN. We're able to showcase them in the magazines. I think, though, more importantly, we have a dozen boats out here racing every race. And it's what we learn on the course that works and doesn't work that we put later into our production boats that really makes the big difference for us from our business point of view at Fountain Powerboats.
Off the stern of the Alcone with Matt Alcone and Jerry Gilbert, they are still leading overall. And now you can see the breakup of the tail. You now know they're hitting rough water.
They are. They're catching some air time now. This, of course, between turn 1 and turn 2, the roughest part of the course. This is a 45-foot skater cat. It's a big boat, but it's still getting some air.
They'll take a pounding today, 15.5 laps, total of 124 miles. Here is your leader overall with 77 boats in competition.
Billy Moff and Joey Impressia in WHM Motorsports currently in second place now. They've made the pass. This boat has been consistent all year long. Will they have the speed to overtake Alcone? Remains to be seen, however.
Second place, pretty good. They're running, of course, with a veteran throttle man, Joey Impressia. He's been there. He knows what to do. Here's another man. Ray Curry is the driver of the Pennzoil P70, throttled by the popular Nicky Cuccio from the northeast area of this country.
32-foot skater cat, beautiful boat, triple outboard power plants. These boats can run upwards of 115 miles an hour. And there's the man who loves to wave. He has a great time. And Jack Herrick, of course, JH Electric Lip Ship Special. Hello, Jack.
I think he's airing out his armpits. This guy's always waving.
They added more power for this race, and this boat has always been competitive. U.S. national champion, former world champion boat. And here's Rick Felson and Brett May. Brett May and Rick Felson now joined up for the first time ever and doing a good job. They lead in P.
They've led a lot. They are national champions. Rick Felson has been there, done that, and he, of course, hopes to continue to do that. He's looking for a new boat next year.
Well, he's not looking for one. He has bought one, and he's going to unveil it. We mentioned the 37-foot Talon boat earlier, modified. That's the same hull that Rick has bought and will campaign in P.
V55 Island Runner, a 41-foot Apache, running very well here in the rough waters. A driver, a throttle man, and a navigator. Navigator, in this case, not too much navigation, more counting laps, right?
Well, he'll have to count laps. He'll have to also keep his driver and throttle man aware of the boats around him. With this many boats in the fleet, that's a full-time job, believe you me. This boat right here, 44-foot fountain boat, Popeye, not to be confused with Al Copeland's Popeye's boats of years gone by. This boat is doing very, very well, currently third in Super V.
Riding very well as he goes past one of the smaller outboard racers here today. This is Seascape.
Well, Seascape still battling out with Fountain Mercury, even though they are in separate classes. But this is just great bow-to-bow action. They are so close, you could almost throw a line from one boat to the other all the way around the race course.
Don't you think that Errol Lanier is not having fun on the throttles, playing around a little bit here with Reggie Fountain?
Oh, yeah, these guys go way, way back, many, many years. A lot of races between these two wily veterans.
Al Cone still leads the pack on this first day of operations. We'll be back with more of round one of the World Championships after this timeout. It's been a busy day of action in the Fountain Key West Superboat World Championships round one. Earlier today, classes A, B, C, and S, plus 3 different classes in the factory division did battle.
They certainly did, and early this morning it was low tide, which means the waves were even bigger for these smaller boats. Takes a lot of guts to get out there in boats that can be as small as 28 feet and battle these Key West seas for the World Championship.
These guys know where it's at. They'll have to hold on for dear life, and they really battled the seas this morning.
And a lot of boats in these classes, as you see, as we look at their starting lineup, so they're going to have to be very, very aware to maintain their lanes, especially headed into round one as we get a green flag.
The green flag for the first round.
Instigator leading the way with Citgo's Super Guard in B class, right behind him, headed to round one. Look at all the boats, Jim.
You can just see a sea of white foam. These starts are always beautiful. Jeff Harris in one of the fountain classes, B10.
Also on board is Art Lilly, veteran throttle man. We use that term veteran so much, but these guys have been racing for over 20 years. And already, Citgo's Super Guard, apparently, Jim, I'm hearing, has a blown-in engine.
And luckily, he did it in the harbor. He doesn't have to go back too far. Now, the green flag for the second round.
On the far side is an S-boat, Bodyguard, being passed now by a C-boat, Elf Lubricants, 36-foot Cobra Cat. And once again, we're going to see some high speeds in the S and C class, all catamarans.
Look at the water. You can see the remnants of the first start. Hasn't even settled down when the second wave comes through.
So close, so evenly matched. These boats in S class and C class. You can almost lay a line across all 4 of the boats as they head to turn 1.
Here comes the third and final wave held this morning.
Manufacturers class F1, F2, and F3. F1 boats, of course, have a single engine. F2 have twin engines, and the F3 boat is a boat that is over 40 feet in length.
I can walk in, buy it from the factory, and race.
You could also buy one of these boats if you had enough money. Very expensive little boat. It's state-of-the-art. And this boat right here is a 28-foot power play boat, Performance Marine. One of these shorter boats in the field, but always competitive.
Little chine walk going on. Here's the Instigator. Peter Meyer is the owner and throttle man. Joyce Roy is the driver of the Instigator.
And what a pounding they are taking. This little 32-foot activator hull, one of the shorter boats in the B class, as opposed to this boat, which is upwards of 35 feet. And this is a very, very fast boat indeed. B10, of course, Art Lilly we talked about earlier. This boat's state-of-the-art. A cut-down deck, as you can see, ultra-light composite resin layup on this boat. Moving now to S class. Your leader in S.
Secret agent.
Little 28-foot skater cat, twin outboard power, no canopies, no windshield. And here's an older boat, Jim. This boat was built back in the 80s and still competitive, a 38-foot cigarette boat.
I love the name. Another bad move. And out that pounding, I can see where they would. Here's your official results as the boats raced here this morning. Now back to the big boats as they continue to have their action this afternoon. And look at the Drambuie, Forrest Barber. This boat is really the state of the art.
It certainly is. And look at the great viewing vantage point all along the mole, all along the beach here at Key West, one of the premier spots to view these boats up close and personal.
On board the Drambuie on ice, Forrest Barber on your right, John Tomlinson on the left. Notice the tachometer fluctuation as the boat comes up and then slams back in the water. Earlier, Stan Lane talked to the driver and owner, Forrest Barber.
Forrest, after your tremendous victory at Paradise Island, Bahamas, this team is really on a roll.
We're on a roll. We've been working on developing the boat all year, and it really came our way in Bahamas, and we hope we're going to have a victory here in Key West.
Team Drambuie, one of the fastest offshore boats in the world, a kilo record to back that up, but you made some more changes.
We made more changes. As I say, we continue to develop the boat. We've made some changes to the exhaust to change the balance a little bit, to lighten up the boat a bit, and hopefully it'll work well for us today.
Water conditions today are pretty big out there, so you may want to add some ballast, huh?
Well, indeed. You know, you try to set it up for one race course and you find you have a different one. It is going to be rough today, I'm sure, but it's great to be here in Key West. It's got to be the best boat racing venue in the world, I think.
Forrest Barber, he likes Key West, and so does this man, Reggie Fountain, the owner and driver of the Fountain Mercury entry in Superboat class.
We've mentioned this before, but it bears mentioning again. Reggie Fountain, the only racer in SBI to both drive the boat, foot throttle the boat, and trim the boat himself.
Then what is the other guy doing?
Well, he's just navigating for Reggie and telling Reggie the tachometer readings.
Anthony Izzo, along with his throttle man Hurley Stepp in heavy metal, trying to catch in modified class the leader, Cat Can Do.
On board now, heavy metal racing. Let's take a look.
They have that canopy strapped down.
It's strapped down by a bungee cord, but it's still taking a pounding.
Bob Morgan leading in Superboat, Big Thunder Marine.
This boat we've talked about so many times, but it's just a tremendous boat. The only boat with 4 big block 1,000 horsepower engines. You see the 4 scoops feeding air to them as they take some air themselves. They're on the backside of the course now. It is extremely rough and getting rougher.
Bill Moff, Joey and Precious still going strong in WHM, the number 6.
Well, it's so reliable. This boat is not the fastest boat in the fleet, but we said it before, you have to finish to win, and this boat has been reliable and consistent all year long.
Look at that crowd along the shoreline here in the harbor.
One of the boats on the inside there was riveted. It's gone down. We're seeing some attrition, Jim, already.
Yes, we have. We're also hearing that the Jaws, after having a 130-mile-an-hour plus lap, went out on lap number 2. We'll be back with more in a moment. Welcome back to the Fountain Key West Superboat World Championship, round number 1. Jim Hendrick along with Stan Lane as we look at Joey Padovano and his throttle man, Charlie Hayes.
Well, Charlie Hayes would love to garner his 5th World Championship. Whether he can do that remains to be seen. This is a very, very successful boat, though, however. A cut-down skater, just like so many of these state-of-the-art skaters that come out of Peter Ledden's plant up in Douglas, Michigan.
So Charlie Hayes is throttling for Joey Padovano, but last year he and Forrest Barber were a team.
They certainly were. And this is a father-son team, one of 5 father-son teams here at the World Championships, the Lilies.
Your leader overall and the leader in Super Limited, Matt Alcone. Jerry Gilbert is the throttle man, and these two have been a team for a while, and they've had a big success story.
Oh, catching a little bit of air there. This boat's so balanced. I mean, they move the engines forward a little bit, got the center of gravity just right. It's a very successful boat. Here's one of the larger boats in the fleet, a 47-foot Apache, big rough water boat, 3 1,000 horsepower Stotler racing engines. They're being passed now by Mike Guerrieri in the MG-23, another 46-foot skater, but passing him is Matt Alcone on the inside. JH Electric Lip Ship Special, Super V, they're currently second. You can see Jack Herrick going, come on, go for it, boys. We need a little more speed here. This hull handles the rough water so well, and earlier Jim caught up to Jack Herrick and talked to him about that, the rough water.
JH Electric Lip Ship. And, of course, the guy that runs the whole darn team and waves the flag over his head has a great time every time he races. Jack Herrick, not a good time today. Rough water, and what are you going to do about it?
Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do about it. I don't know that I'm going to be doing so much waving today. I think I'm going to be holding on for dear life.
Now, you prefer rough water?
No, I personally prefer the flat water, but in order for us to win, we're going to definitely need the rough water, and it seems that we do have rough water today.
And, of course, this is a rough water boat.
Absolutely, probably the best rough water boat that's out there. It's been around for 10 years, and it definitely can take a beating.
All the boats are taking a tremendous beating. We see Defender right there in modified as he heads into the inlet area. That's a tight turn down there. They have to slow down. They have to cut the throttles back, trim those drives in, tuck the bow of the boat down a little bit, and nose it around that turn and be very, very careful doing so.
Especially with that type of boat, you cannot put it on its banking attitude. You have to go in there flat, and that could cause a problem. They could spin out, or they could even roll it.
Lightning Jacks, John Woolley, Bill Durham doing great. The boys from New Jersey. It's a very, very fast boat, 36-foot hull.
They're our third place right now behind Cat Can Do and Heavy Metal in the modified class.
On the stern of that boat on the outdrive, we zoom in now right now. You see those two big rubber hoses. Those hoses take air to the props. They aerate the props, allowing the props to spin faster as the boat comes out of the water.
When the boat comes out of the water, those props can wind up tight. They could break something. The throttle man has to be quick. Get off the gas sticks. Then hit it when you get back on the water.
Yeah, you want to try to maintain the revolutions of the props, keep it constant, and it's hard to do so when you're in the water under load. Then you come out of the water, you have no load. The props can free spin.
People here today are seeing a lot of action with 7 boats in several classes and going by the stands and the hotels frequently. It's a great spectator sport today.
No, it certainly is. And these boats are only about 40 yards off the outer mole there, and that is about as close as you can possibly get. The Nimshoff boat running very well. We talked about his engines earlier. The only boat in the fleet with diesel engines, hence the grayish tinge to his water plumage coming off the stern.
Look at the top of that restaurant. There, Jim.
Oh, my goodness. Forrest Barber is down, Jim.
Oh, that is too bad because they were running so good.
Johnny Tomlinson has left the cockpit, the canopy. He's back there looking towards the port side of the boat. I see some smoke coming from that side. It could be a blown engine.
Meanwhile, your leader continues to have an error-free day as he runs off and leaves the rest of the pack.
But you got to know that Matt Alcone and Jerry Gilbert have their fingers crossed. They got to be worried, hoping this boat hangs together after just flipping it last week.
We've got lots more action to come. Don't go away. Come on back to Key West. We'll be back in just a moment. It's not all hard work, hard driving. Lots of times, it's a lot of fun. This is the El Mesón del Pepe. What a name for a restaurant.
Yes, we had great parties each and every night, the entire week long. All kinds of camaraderie. A good time was had. Dancing, entertainment. It doesn't get any better than this, Jim.
Doesn't get any better than this for Alcone, leading overall here today.
Certainly is. He's gone through a lot to get here. This boat was upside down just last week, and Jim caught up with Matt Alcone a little earlier, and they discussed the horrendous wreck in detail.
Matt Alcone almost didn't make this race. Accident last weekend. Tell me what happened, Matt.
Well, we just had a lot of adrenaline pumping through us, and we came up to the first turn probably a little hotter than we should have, and front of the boat hooked a little, and we went to correct it. There was nothing on the back end. We had blown off the skegs and the gimbal, so we didn't have any control, and the boat just kept going all the way around. We slid sideways and rolled over and landed upside down.
And Jerry is Jerry Gilbert, his throttle man, and he's with Stan right now.
Jerry, a lot of work, a lot of man hours have gone into getting the Alcone Motorsports boat race ready once again.
Boy, again, that's an understatement. My crew worked 24 hours a day for the last 8 days, and without them, we wouldn't be here.
I understand for the first time in the history of Merc Cruiser, a gimbal actually sheared off. Must have been tremendous force in that wreck.
We went into the turn pretty hard, and we're not really sure what happened to the gimbal, but it is certainly broken.
It has had to change every wire, every switch, the whole thing.
Well, we chose to do that. Normally you don't have to, but we choose to try to do as best that we possibly can, and so that we get rid of every gremlin that we could possibly find. So yes, we did replace every gauge, every switch, every wire, try to do everything we can possibly do to win this race.
There you see the massive gimbal that actually sheared off, and in all fairness, these boats just go under tremendous loads at 160 miles an hour when they do turn sideways, and it just knocked the whole thing off. Oh, unbelievable.
Lots of work goes to the crews. They have to work sometimes all night long to get these boats ready.
And that's exactly what they did. Back on the race course now. Beautiful, beautiful setting. The sun reflecting off the water. And a hardcore bow-to-bow, stern-to-stern racing continues here at the World Championships round number 1.
Just below our helicopters, the M4 heavy metal. Inside, aboard the boat, let's listen.
Who's power?
We got it. Here we go.
Jim, you heard that hull slapping the water, just pounding it. This 40-foot skater can't really beat the water up as these guys put the throttles to the wall.
Brett Bay, the driver of High Risk. Rick Felson, the owner and throttle man, still leading in the P class. Over the second place, P70, Nicky Kutro's Pennzoil team. This boat showing the way as Felson gives us a wave from the cockpit.
There you hear the unique sound of those little outboards. They rev extremely high. Super V81 Ocean Spray Cranberry. Beautiful fountain boat. Very, very fast.
V81 Bruce Penhall and the Ocean Spray. And they were talked to with my co-announcer before the race.
Bruce, the Ocean Spray Fountain, extremely fast boat, a world record kilo to prove that. But you got some pretty big water out here today.
Yeah, we do. We have some big water. We're excited about it. The Ocean Spray Fountain works well in rough water, too. Obviously, the first day is so critical, but secondly, we don't want to hurt the boat for the second day of racing. So we're going to work hard today. We're going to go out as we usually do and try to set a pace and try to keep that pace up. But the boat's certainly capable of winning. We just need things to go our way today.
All classes are battling here at the SBI action at Key West. There is the boat, Ocean Spray, getting a pretty good ride here in this World Championship.
And that kilo record that they set in Super V was over 133 miles an hour. That is truly impressive.
The attrition rate continues to climb as the boats are returning to the pits. Those that are out there, they're getting a beating, but they're competitors. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to the beautiful waters of Key West, Florida. Reggie Fountain in the Superboat Class 76 going by. The fire who has seemed to be slowing down.
Jim, I'm just getting word from race control that one of these Super V boats, Jim Horn's Fountain Flyer, has apparently barrel rolled in turn number 1 and is taking on water and going down, so medical helicopters have been dispatched.
Safety first, SBI. John Carbonell has them all ready on the water, on land, and in the air. Your leader in the national points and wears the V1 because he was the national champion is JH Electric Lipship going by and currently in second place in the Deep V.
And he is trying to run down the Nimshoff boat, which is a Fabio Bucci designed fountain hull. Very, very fast boat with that diesel power.
The Nimshoff, there's your leader. This is the boat that the Lipship Special is trying to catch.
Certainly, as this boat has those Trimax surface piercing drives, 10-liter C-Tech diesels, over 1,000 horsepower apiece. It's a good rough water boat. It's also very, very fast.
And being built by Fountain right now with this Fabio Bucci design.
Exactly.
Look at him launch off the water. Boy, he's getting the ride of his life, and we look at it from our tail camera aboard the Nimshoff. A similar boat has been designed with an inflatable collar, and it's garnered the interest of the private sector and the military. Stan took a closer look at this project earlier.
On board the 38-foot Fountain FB design rib with Commander Siegel, U.S. Navy, we were discussing this extremely innovative propulsion system.
The propulsion system on a 38-foot rib was designed uniquely by Fabio Bucci. It's marketed in the United States by Reggie Fountain, who's his boat builder. Bucci's had a chance to develop this over a period of years, working with diesel engines, primarily marine propulsion. And what Bucci did was able to bring in an electric 2-speed transmission through ZF to his Trimax outdrives.
The Trimax surface drive is very unique and is also bulletproof because unlike a normal outdrive, say a Bravo or a number 6 that have angles and gears and stuff, the Trimax is just a single shaft. It basically cannot break.
That's exactly right. It's not going to be the weak point in the boat, that's for sure. They're continually improving on the Trimax. It's been around for quite a while. Fabio Bucci and Reggie Fountain are continuing to work on that design. but there's no loss of horsepower. And as it comes from the diesels through the transmission straight out to the propeller, you've got what you've got, and there's no loss of degradation.
These boats definitely the wave of the future.
I believe so. The transition to law enforcement, Coast Guards, Customs, and military worldwide are going to be quite excited about this.
Once again, offshore racing not only gives you the thrill and the spectacular racing sights, it also is a test track for the continuation of durable boats.
Big Thunder Marine is a durable boat. 4 engines, 4 number 6 outdrives, tremendous acceleration off the curves because he's got 4 props biting the water, and it just pushes the boat around those turns so effectively.
And giving note that Big Thunder Marine is in the same class as this one with Reggie Fountain. Reggie, much smaller.
Reggie stepped up to Superboat. He added some horsepower. He's up to now 1,100 horsepower apiece in those twin engines, and that did push the boat up. This Fountain is very unique. It's got the widest tunnel of any skater ever built, and the boat was a little bit flighty before, so Reggie moved the engines up. He's changed the bottom design. He's added water ballast to the bow to bring the bow down. The boat's running much, much better this race.
The marina is full. The action is fast and furious. Art Gerard, Mike Gerard, and a brand new haul for them. This is the Sloppy Joe.
Yeah, it's a brand new hull for them, but not a brand new hull. This boat was formerly called Katana, a Japanese entry several years ago. And as a matter of fact, Jim, this same hull actually wrecked here in Key West several years back, and the boat split in two. They put it back together. They've taken some weight out of it, and it's doing very well today.
For the uninitiated, there are 2 types of hull. This is what we call the Deep V. The Deep V hull, a single hull with an angle at the bow and can cut through rough water. The other type of boat is a catamaran. It's 2 pods connected by a wing. Take a look. Connected by a wing. Each man sits in the pod. There are communications. It's the faster of the 2 hulls under certain conditions.
It certainly is, because those 2 pods in between those with the wing, it packs air under the boat, which raises the boat up off the water, reducing the friction, allowing the boat to go faster.
Het can do. The action continues here at Key West. Mike Guerra, the owner and throttle of the MG Racing. Larry Parsons is the driver, and they've been going steady all day.
They have not the fastest boat in the fleet, 46-foot skater, beautiful boat, but they are consistent, and if they can hang on there, see, of course, we mentioned earlier, it's the culmination of points from this race, round 1 into round 2, so you need to finish to win.
Bob Morgan and the Big Thunder Marine, Guido Vermey, the driver, doing very well here today, leading in the Superboat class.
Big Thunder Marine spun out in turn number 1. They got the boat back on plane, and they got the power to it now, and they're closing the gap down.
4 engines start to rev up off the turn once again, head out to open waters here at Key West. Bob Morgan running in Key West, and earlier Stan had a chance to talk to him.
Bob, you had a tremendous race in the Bahamas, and that was done on some engines that weren't quite up to par. You've changed that, right?
Yes, we have. We've tuned these engines up. This old motorboat ought to run.
You've got 8 boats in the Superboat class today, so it's going to be quite competitive out there.
Yes, it will be. We really want to win this race. We're not going to worry about the open boats. We're going to try to win the Superboat class and come in with the big money.
They're talking about seas of 4 to 6 feet on the outside. Will that help you or hinder you?
That'll help us. 4 to 6 seas is perfect. We just go wide open and let her rip.
Perfect 4 to 6 seas? He's kidding.
No, I think he's serious. This big boat likes the big water, and we're on board that big boat as we speak.
Watch his head, Bob. Even that big boat is getting jostled about here. Again, a bungee cord holds that flapping top down. Demshoff, leader in class.
This boat has twin sequential turbochargers on each engine. And turbocharged motors historically have been a little bit slow off the turns. It takes time for them to spool up and build up power. Hence, this boat has 2 of them, a small one to get the power initially and a big one to get the big power later on.
He was the leader in the V class. Here is your leader overall and in Super Limited, the Alcone. Matt Alcone and Jerry Gilbert.
Matt Alcone getting a little dancing back there a little bit. I mean, they're letting this boat go. They want to set, if possible, a new record on the lap speed, but they have to finish, and they did so much work to get here. You know, if they didn't finish, Jim, it would just kill them.
The skies are darkening, but it's going to be okay. That front seems to be stalled out there. We've got a good day except for the wind that has kicked up the course. Same class side by side in the Deep V Island runner is now edge to head.
Close race in Super V. The race in P is not quite that close. Rick Felson has stretched out his lead. This is your second place boat right here. Nicky Coutreau, P70, the Pennzoil boat. And Nicky being a little bit safe today, conservative, because, Jim, he knows this is just round one of 2 rounds.
And you had a chance to talk to him earlier about SBI-style racing.
Nicky, I understand that the Pennzoil team and SBI have some big plans for next year.
Right. The Pennzoil Catamaran's going to try and commit to majority of the racing season to the Superboat International Racing Circuit, and it should be a win-win situation for everybody. They got a great bunch of guys here racing. Competition's great. Television's great. It's a great place to race.
The water conditions today are pretty rough, and you got a 32-foot boat. It's going to be a lot of airtime out there, I imagine.
Yeah, we're just going to try to keep that Pennzoil Catamaran glued to the water. It's going to be real bumpy, typical Key West, so you're going to have to play it real smart. We got 2 days of racing, so just get through today, and, you know, combination of having a good day on Sunday. Hopefully it'll put us in the winner's circle.
The words of Nicky Coutreau, who says, SBI-style racing is my style. He'll be back for more races next year.
It's the only place to be in Offshore. Reggie Fountain now picking up the pace a little bit now. He knows that he needs to win this thing. Reggie Fountain just can't stand to lose. He is so competitive.
He's a successful man on and off the water. He has 100 wins, looking for a 101st victory, and still not enough. He wants more, as does Rick Felson, who's leading in B class.
Currently third in Superboat Limited, number 23, MG23, twin 980 horsepower Keith Eichert power plants in this boat. And he's been consistent all day long, but doesn't have the speed, Jim, to close on their overall leader, Matt Alcone.
Well, he's running just as smooth as the top. Rough water, smooth water makes no difference.
Apparently that week of 24-hour days for the crew to put that boat back together, they changed all the gauges, they changed all the wiring, they changed the engines, the drive system, the seats. The whole boat was redone in 1 week. That is just amazing.
Good performance by WHM. They will be, of course, a factor in this 2-part event. This is part 1, and again, Jack Herrick is wiping off his brow, waving, an antsy kind of guy. We'll be back in just a moment.
Welcome back, everyone, to round 1 of the 1998 Fountain Key West Superboat World Championships. Not too long ago, Hurricane George and Hurricane Mitch came through here doing all kinds of damage. As you can see, here's some of it. The cleanup effort has been monumental. A gentleman who played an important part of that is Dennis Smith from Grubbs Emergency Services. We talked to him.
We've been here for about 6 weeks. We'll probably be here for about another month, finishing up this grinding site. Tomorrow will probably be the last day we pick up any brush on the island, so cleaning up the streets is pretty well done. This is their peak season down here for all their activities with Fantasy Fest and Goom Bay Festival, and naturally with the boat races this weekend. They wanted to have everything cleaned up and give the island the pretty effect that it deserves, because it is a real nice place down here. And we just wanted to make sure that their whole operation could go on as scheduled without any hitches.
There was a big cleanup. Stan, you and I drove all the way from Fort Lauderdale down 1, and we saw a lot of destruction, and all the cities are cleaning up. But they'll be, of course, restored to their natural beauty.
Yeah, hurricanes are nothing new to Key West. They've been that route before, but this one was a big one. But they did a great job, as we said.
Doesn't affect the inside of this cockpit right now. Look at him drive.
What a turn they're making here. They're cutting the pins awfully close. You see the steering wheel. The steering is hydraulic. They have a hydraulic helm. They can actually take their hand off the steering wheel halfway through a turn with the steering will turn, and the steering wheel will not spin back as it would in a car because of the hydraulic helm.
WHM with the veteran, Joey Impression. You know Joey was married in this town aboard a race boat?
He certainly was, as he should be, because this guy's been around offshore for a long, long time, and he's got so many victories under his belt.
Big Thunder Marine continue to thunder with their 4 engines, and they lead in the Superboat class coming back into the harbor.
They're leading Superboat, but I know Bob Morgan well, and I know that he would love nothing more than to take the overall victory from Matt Alcone.
He has a very, very heavy boat here with 4 engines. This is really what they call a super boat.
It certainly is. It holds over 800 gallons of fuel, and as the fuel burns off, as the race goes on, that boat becomes lighter. Now, this boat is light from the get-go. It's an extremely light boat. It was actually too light, and that's why Fountain has had to lower the nose down a little bit.
Seascape. Harold Lanier, he knows how to throttle a boat.
This boat is aluminum. It's made in Europe. It is a CUV, C-U-V cat. It's a heavier boat, doing well today in these rough waters.
Heavy metal, still challenging in the modified class.
You see the water is picking up here in the bay. These boats go back and forth, and the water bounces off the concrete mole, and it really disturbs that area. So these boats are seeing some wave action in this area.
Yes, once you have seawalls along this race course, the waves will come back and affect the boats that follow you. Once again, the waving team of the V1 currently running second.
I'm checking lap times, and V1 JH Electric Lip Ship Special is, in fact, closing the gap on Nemshoff, and it looks like Jim Seascape is down.
The attrition rate is up. The finish is in sight. We'll be back. First round action of the Fountain Key West Superboat World Championships brought to you by Florida Keys and Key West. Come as you are. And by Fountain Powerboats, because there is a difference.
Seascape headed back to the pits. Their day is done. It's a shame to break down the very last lap. They have to be just devastated.
Here is your winner. Overall, coming in to take the checker flag, Jerry Gilbert on the throttle, Matt Alcone and the Alcone Special, the winner.
Well, the odds were against them. They put that boat back together. We talked about it earlier, and they, in fact, did a great job of doing it, and they are the overall winner and winner in Super Limited. And here, Jim, is your winner in Superboat, Big Thunder Marine Extremely Special.
Robert Morgan and the gang win in class and second overall.
That boat has a unique sound with those 4 engines. You hear it blowing by at close to 140 miles an hour. Your winner in Super V will be Nemshoff. JH Electric Lip Ship did not have quite enough today to overtake them. The father-son team did a great job.
Official results, Big Thunder Marine wins in the Superboat class. In the Superboat Limited, the official results, Alcone winner in class and first overall. Super V, the Nemshoff, outlasts the JH Electric Lip Ship in round 1. Cat Can Do is the winner in modifieds over the fleet. Pro 1, high risk with Rick Felson.
Bobby said you freshened up the motors, and obviously they were extremely fresh today. You did great.
Thank you very much. I tell you, we got this old motorboat chug-a-lugging today. If we'd have had to, we could have run up there at the Alcone, but we need the money. We need to win that superboat. And I want to thank all my sponsors. You know who you are. Without you, we wouldn't make it.
Now, this, of course, is just part 1 of 2 parts. You got to do it again, but the boat looked good. How are the water conditions out there?
The water conditions are extremely rough. That's about the roughest ride I've ever had.
Guido, you did a great job. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I didn't know do a very great job. I did a spin out also, but we won. It means that together we did a very good job.
Not too long ago, upside down, breathing underwater. Now you come back and win. That's amazing.
Well, it is amazing, and this is a team that's just unbelievable. The more you push their backs up against the wall, the harder they push. You know, everybody who told them that there's no way this boat would get there made them work that much harder. And then this big guy, you know, boy, he can handle a boat. He's like Nureyev through the waves. Just unbelievably comfortable ride for me, given what it's like out there. What a team I've got. I'm a lucky guy.
Sure, he said to me before we went on the air, he said, I'm getting too old for this. Is that really true?
I think it's a little bit true, but I got to tell you, Jim, with Matt, it's unbelievable. We're upside down, and before the race, Jerry says, "Are we going to be okay?" And I said, "Matt, we're going to be okay. I swear, I'm going to take care of you." He believes me. What can I say?
Father and son team, Mark and Paul Nemshoff, and guys, you are double winners, not only in your A boat that is right behind us here, the baby boat, but also in Super V as well. Tremendous accomplishment.
Well, it was a big day for us. It was great. It was mighty rough out there after the first race. I didn't know about getting into the boat to run the second race, but it worked out well.
Well, this is, of course, the first race of 2. You got to do the whole thing over just a few days from now, and it's going to be rough again. And all the guys are gunning for you, not only because you won once, but because you won twice, Paul.
Yeah, it's going to make it a little bit difficult. We'll get a couple days of rest, but we'll be ready to go back out there on Sunday and do it again.
Keith Holmes, and of course, the winner of Can Do in that modified class. tough, eh, Keith?
Oh, man, that was a real battle out there. Man, oh, we're glad to come out.